Hey everybody. I know it's been a while since I have made a video, and that's mostly because nothing has been going on in my house. Uh, yeah, you would do that the second I say that. Nothing has been going on in my house, despite the fact that for like about the last 2 weeks I've kind of been struggling with depression and really, really high anxiety, so you would think something would be feeding off that, but nothing has been happening that I've been noticing anyways. And today I wasn't going to make a video, but as I was getting ready for work, I happened to check on my YouTube and I noticed there was an unusual influx of subscribers. And I don't know where you all came from, but thank you guys for subscribing and welcome to my channel. Um, I'm sorry there will be like occasions where I do not update, especially like, with anything paranormal because of what I just said. But I wanted to at least do a video for all the newcomers and the people who's actually kind of like stuck this out with me. Um, I was going to do the paranormal tag, and I've gone over it before, and I've actually pretty much touched base with a lot of these questions like in depth in previous videos, but I will just kind of go and do a very short version of the answers that I actually have done videos before. So if you guys are more interested in details of the stories, then you can always go back to my videos and watch them. Beware that some of them are very, very old. They're one of my first videos, and the quality may be very awful and embarrassing. It's very embarrassing. But yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to get right down to the tag because, I really don't have a whole lot of time. Okay, so how old were you when you had your first paranormal experience? Okay, well, I was actually living up north, and I was in preschool to kindergarten at that time, so I was around 4 or 5. And I lived in a house that was at first one big house, but it was renovated, and they had made it into two separate floors. So someone rented out the top floor, and my parents had rented out the bottom floor. And where me and my sister's room was at, it was a humongous room. It used to be like a dining room or a foyer or something else, and our closet had originally been the staircase leading upstairs, and it had no door. It was the doorway, or the door frame was actually like twice the size of a normal door, and apparently there was a lot of activity there. There's actually a lot of activity in the entire house in general, like the basement, and like I guess my parents' room had activity, but I really don't know much about that. I haven't really like asked my mom about what she experienced there. I just know what I experienced there and what my sister experienced there. But my very first paranormal experience was back then, and what happened a lot of the times, like the very first time it happened, was me and my sister had bunk beds, and we were facing the awful, god awful closet. It had a really terrible vibe, and I couldn't sleep at night there because it was just a really bad vibe in the whole house. And one night I was just laying in bed. I had to sleep on the bottom because my sister had priority over the top, and something kind of like filled up the whole frame of the closet doorway. And it's dark in the room. I don't even think we had a nightlight at that point. But and the closet was dark, but all of a sudden it was like a different type of darkness. It was like darker than black, like the anime. And it just filled up the door frame, and it was the shape of a very large man. Now, no, he was not wearing a hat. At least I don't think he was. I really don't think he was wearing a hat. But he would come out of the closet, and then he would lean over the rails in between the two beds, and he would just stare at me, and I would pass out. And I would wake up, and I'd be like, what happened? Okay. My young brain cannot process this, so I would just kind of like blow it off. I mean, I told my parents about it. They didn't believe me. They just thought I was having nightmares. But it was a reoccurring nightmare if that was the case, because it happened every single night. And then one night, I don't know how long this has been going on when this happened because it was so long ago. But I woke up in the middle of the night and I realized my sister was not in the room. I mean, there was no reason for me to know this, but I knew she was not in the room. I was completely alone and something was wrong. So I jump out of bed and I run out the bedroom door and I can hear someone in the bathroom, and I realize it's my sister. So I rush to the door is locked, and I'm begging her to let me in. And then I realize my dad is also in the bathroom because he used to be a truck driver at that time, and he had to get up early and get ready for work. So, they were just sharing the bathroom. And he told me to go back to bed. And, I did not want to, but I did. I reluctantly went back into my bed, and I ran through the room. I jumped in bed, and I hid under the covers like, what a child would do. And not even a minute passed, and the heaviness of the room just got super intense, and I just froze. I was paralyzed with fear. And I felt something pat the top of my head. And I was just pretending I was a rock at that point. And it stayed there for a little bit, and then it went away. And then the feeling kind of like eased, like whatever was there just wasn't there anymore. And then my sister came back and went to bed, and that was that. I mean, I guess I just went to bed after that. I couldn't speak. I was so scared. I was so frozen in fear that I just didn't say anything. I might have cried. I don't really remember. But I went back to bed, and I don't think I even told anybody about that. I just kind of like forgot about it or just pretended that it didn't happen. I didn't tell anyone. So that was my very first experience, which kind of goes on to the next question. Have you always believed in ghosts? Yes, obviously, because something happened at a very young age. I've always believed in ghosts. Question number 3. Where is your favorite place to investigate? I don't know how I personally feel investigating things myself. I don't really like inviting things to come home with me or follow me or anything like that, so I don't investigate. I just feel like that's not a really safe thing for someone like myself to do, because I feel I'm a little bit more sensitive than most people, and it's probably in my best interest to just not delve into that aspect of the paranormal. I just don't do that. I don't even really investigate the things that happen around me. I just go, just do your thing and leave me alone. Okay, so number 4. What is your favorite investigating tool to use? I don't investigate, so I don't use investigating tools. Alright, number 5. What is your scariest paranormal experience? Okay, so my scariest paranormal experience, I've also made a video about that, so you can go check that out. But just real quick, this happened maybe last year. It happened last year. It was in the beginning of that year, and I was going through a really, really shitty time in my life. I don't want to go over that too much, but I was living with my parents, regrettably, and they were going through a really, really bad time. I think they were going through a worse time than me, and we were all just trying to, like, kind of go through our problems separately. And my mom is just as sensitive as I am, and we create poltergeists and paranormal crap. We bombard ourselves with even more problems when we're really, really stressed. And I think that's kind of what it was. But one night, I woke up in the middle of the night, and something was shaking my door like it was trying to open up my door. And I always kind of at first think it's my cat, because my cat will do that very often. She will try to bust down my door. She'll have her paw underneath the door frame, and then she'll just shake it. And sometimes she can open it because my door isn't very sturdy. But she's meowing, and there's enough light to see that it's her. I mean, it's pretty obvious when it's Sadie doing it. And at this moment in time, that was definitely not the case. I don't know where she was at, but what was going on was the door was shaking very violently, and it was shaking from its entirety. It wasn't the bottom, it was its entirety. It was shaking off its hinges like something was desperately trying to get into the room, and it couldn't. But if something was shaking that bad, it definitely would have unlatched itself by then and had opened up, but it wasn't. So I don't know if something was I really don't know what was going on. But I was terrified, and something told me to not get up and investigate it. Do not get up. Don't even move. So I didn't. I just laid there in bed, and I just stared at the door, freaking out. And eventually it stopped, and then I went over to my sister's bedroom. She was no longer living there. She was living somewhere else. So that room is now a storage room. And it shouldn't have been closed in the first place because just like here, we don't close doors. We don't close doors even at, my other house. We just didn't do it. That's just airflow. So that door should have been open, but for some strange reason, it was obviously closed, and whatever it was trying to bust down that door. And then it would go back to my door, and then back to that door. And it was doing that for maybe 30 minutes. And that was the most terrifying 30 minutes of my life because I felt like if I got up or moved or anything that it would just bust down the door and something that I wasn't prepared to see was going to be on the other side. And I honestly thought it was like a demon. I thought it was going to be possessed or something. It was terrifying. So that is my most terrifying experience. And no, I've never experienced anything like that since, but I have experienced like other creepy, almost terrifying experience. That is the most terrifying now, to date. Anyways, so next question. What is your favorite paranormal experience? I do have a favorite. Most people don't talk about their favorite paranormal experiences. This one is actually also kind of sad, at least to me it is very sad. This was going on at the time where, I guess, poltergeist things were kind of like slowing down in my life. This was back in between like 5th and 6th grade. I was going through a lot of preteen problems. I'm immensely bipolar. I said I'm struggling with depression right now. I'm immensely bipolar and depressive and social anxiety, and I was having a lot of problems like with that coming up, and like my parents not really believing me when I told them like there's something wrong with my brain right now. And at the same time, I was going through like sexual harassment, so that made things even worse at that time, and there was like nothing we could do about it because we didn't know who was doing it. I was like basically being stalked. And so that was going on all at once, and that just kind of like triggered this really terrible poltergeist situation. And at the same time, another entity, kind of like I can like to consider them my guardian angel or my guide, whichever one you guys believe. It can be either or. And he was basically my protector against the negativity that was going on in my life. And then when things were getting better for me, where I could control and handle all the situations on my own, it happened one night where very often where I would go to bed every single night, and I slept on a twin mattress, so there's really no room for anything else. But every single night for like those 2 years or so, when I was going to sleep, something would sit on the end of my bed and pretty much watch over me, because like at night I had really, really terrible nightmares. And one night that happened, and the room got really cold when it sat down, and I knew this was going to be a little bit different, and I felt someone kiss me on my forehead, and I knew it was that my guardian angel or my guide or whatever it was, and I knew it was saying goodbye. Like I knew it was saying, you can handle this, you got this now, it's time for me to go. I don't need to be in this physical plane anymore. And I kind of cried, and I asked it to just please stay, because you're like the best company in the world. I'm never really alone because you're here. And he said he had to go. So he kissed me goodbye, and then it just left, and I knew he was gone. I mean, I know he's still around, but he's not here anymore. If that makes sense. So that is my favorite experience, because to me that really proved that he was always there when I felt that he was there. And he's also my saddest experience. Okay, so number 7. Do you know anyone else personally who's had a paranormal experience? Yes. My mom is very sensitive. If she's not more sensitive than me, she claims that she's a psychic. I don't know if she really is or not. But things happen to her just as much as they happen to me. She causes a lot of poltergeist activity. Like right now, between my parents, they're having a rocky time. And every time I visit them, I can feel the energy. It feels just like when I started poltergeist activity on myself. That's what it feels like. I feel like she's doing that to herself. So And then my sister also experienced a couple of um, actual ghostly activity. She hasn't caused poltergeist activity, I don't think, on herself, even though she also just recently admitted she has some terrible anxiety problems. I've always known that, but she's just recently admitted that. But at the old house up north that I was talking about with my first experience, she says that she actually saw the same man that I saw every single night walking down the hallway. And I think that was like her major paranormal experience that she's ever at least shared with me. It was important enough to share with me. So those are the two people that I know of that really experienced anything. Other than that, I'm pretty much alone on the paranormal believing things. I have like absolutely no support. No support. Anyways, do you have trouble convincing friends and family about your paranormal experience? I guess I should have read that question first. No support in this place. None. None at all. Especially with David. David believes like diddly squat. He's appropriately atheist. Like, you know how some people are atheists, but they believe in demons or ghosts, and that makes absolutely no sense. No, he doesn't believe in anything. He's like, I don't know. No, that's not real. That's not real. That didn't happen. And I'm like, well, at least you're not being a hypocrite about it because you don't believe in anything. And that's the most important person that I want to believe in my stuffs. But yeah, no support. That's why I'm on YouTube, because I need to tell somebody, or otherwise I'll just go crazy. And I would tell my mom, but my mom makes everything about herself, so she's kind of like no support either, even though she believes she's no support. What is your favorite paranormal TV show or movie? I don't really have a favorite because I know they're all fake. I would definitely enjoy watching ones that are actually real, but a lot of them, they started out real. Like, I think Ghost Hunters started out real, and that was my favorite TV show for the longest time when I was a kid. And then I quickly started to notice when things were, like, once they stopped investigating people's personal homes is when it got fake. And I watched that show because I didn't want them to catch anything. That was when it was entertaining for me, when they actually found out evidence and they're like, it's your toilet. Your toilet is doing A, B, and C. Fix your toilet and then the noises are going to stop. Promise. That's why I enjoyed Ghost Hunters. That was my favorite TV show for the longest time. And since they become a gimmick, you know, everything else becomes a gimmick. And I really just watch it for its entertainment at this point. But I enjoy all the shows equally as entertainment-wise. And I don't really watch any movies. I don't watch scary movies or ghost movies because, I don't know, because it's a gimmick. Okay, so what would be your dream place to investigate? I do not investigate. We know this already. But what's my dream place to visit that's ghostly? I visited St. Augustine before, and I loved that place. I loved that place. I would want to go back. As a honeymoon, that would be fantastic if I can go back there and visit all the places. Because I went on like a history club trip, so we got to visit all the haunted places. It was awesome. And there were a couple of places like the lighthouse, when I was like underneath the lighthouse once. And they had like a little showing of how you tie sailor knots and everything. I felt something there. And that was pretty much the only place that I got a vibe from, that like there was something there. And I went to like all the haunted places there. Like I went to the fort and everything. And you would think I would feel something at the fort, but at that time that place was quiet. I didn't feel anything. But I would definitely go there again because it takes more than one try. Okay, so next question. Okay. Do you prefer to investigate alone or in a group? I don't investigate. But if I were in a haunted place, I definitely wouldn't want to be there alone, because what if I experience something in a place where I have absolutely no support and then I'm experiencing it all by myself? No one believes me. So I would prefer to be in a group, because otherwise no one would believe me. But if something happened to like David, then he has to start believing in something, and that's a good thing. Okay, so is your home haunted? I don't know if my home's haunted or if I cause poltergeist activity. I don't know if my other house was haunted or if it was poltergeist activity, but I feel like it was a little bit of both because things happened in that neighborhood. I think it was something like in the neighborhood also. So I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. And 13, the very last question. Oh my god, this is so long. Have you ever had any paranormal experience with animals? Yes, I have. I actually have one video like that no one has seen because it's a really bad like when it was happening video. And I was sitting on the couch with my dog, and he's like, he like when stuff is going on, he sees it, and then he's like looking around, and he starts crying because he's scared. And one time I was doing the video, and he was doing that, and then when that happened, it started to notice that I noticed it, and something like just like in my ear. I don't know if it's like, or it was speaking to me on a different frequency, or I don't know what it was doing, but something just like whispered, yelled something in my ear, and it hurt my eardrum. It nearly busted my eardrum, even though there was no audible noise. Like I couldn't distinguish any noise, and that freaked me out. Because then after that happened, stuff was going on in the kitchen, like footsteps was like circling the island, and the island is like right out of the corner of my eye. Like I can't quite see it because there's a wall like right there, and it was circling the island. And I was like, any second now, it's gonna decide to walk past that wall, and I'm gonna see something that was like, it's freaking out my dog and just like nearly busting my eardrum. So that was one experience with an animal, and then another one was when my other dog, Belle, she had to be put to sleep because she had tumors on her brain, like right behind her eyeball, and we didn't catch it in time, and there was nothing that we could have done for her, so we had to put her down, and then her smell lingered, and she had a really bad smell, and her collar, like it clinked when she walked or if she did anything, like moving wise, and we continued to smell her rank smell, and we continued to hear her walking around the house for a couple of months after she passed. And those are the two experiences with animals that I can actually remember right now. I'm pretty sure there's more because I have a lot of animals throughout my life. But that is my paranormal tag, and I am so sorry that that actually got a lot longer than I thought. But thank you guys for subscribing, and I hope you guys enjoy this terribly long video. I am going to try to post other things. Like, if things are not happening around the house, I am not going to post a video and make up something that's going on because I'm not doing that. Instead, I may just make videos about maybe stories. Like, I like to write, so maybe I will just narrate some of my stories to you because I'm not selling them or anything. If you guys are interested in maybe me doing other paranormal related videos, you just let me know in the comments or something so that, you know, I can keep this YouTube channel going even if nothing is actually happening activity-wise. Or like you guys want me to share your personal experiences, then, you know, let me know. You can send me a private message or a comment down below. Maybe we can keep the channel going. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate the silent support because no one leaves me comments or likes. I appreciate it anyways because I notice you guys are watching. Obviously, I have subscribers. But thank you. I'm going to go now. Have to go to work. See you next time, guys. Bye.